This was ninth grade English. We had to do a lot of writing assignments. And one day, as we were all going to the next class, the homeroom teacher, the English teacher, said, "Tom, have you thought about going into journalism? I think you enjoy writing, and you really do a good job at it, and you really ought to think about it." And I thought, yeah, it kind of makes sense, since I like looking at the news on TV, hearing it on the radio, reading it in the newspaper. So that was the bug that bit me. I joined OPUBCO in 1982. And at that time, I was hired as a copy editor on the old Oklahoma City Times. And I was given a very small, little yellow-bound style book. And I forget the number of pages, but it was pretty small. And there were memos floating around the various news editors and copy chiefs written over the years. But not everybody had that style book. Not everybody had access to all those memos. And in 1996, I believe it was, Joe Haidt and I and some other people started working on the Oklahoman Style Manual. And it came out after a lot of work. It came out in 1997. I think it was like 45 pages. And then I continued to, as I was copy chief by then, I continued to reinforce the rules. A lot of people thought they called me the style Nazi because I was being pretty strict on some of these rules. But getting that organized and getting it in black and white, even though that happened in the 90s, and I had quite a few more years, I always look upon that as an achievement. The late Mary Goddard, who's in the Hall of Fame, she and I got along very well. Our senses of humor worked well together. And even though I'd been in the working world for 9 years by the time I came to the Oklahoman, Mary taught me a lot about being a good copy editor, not just a copy editor, but being a good copy editor. And she emphasized knowing style, the AP style and the local style. Ed Kelly. You know, the first time I saw that guy in the newsroom at the old building downtown, I thought, this guy's going to be my boss someday. I could just tell by his presence, and he did. He eventually became managing editor, executive editor, and he was just a fantastic example of a solid professional journalist and a very good newsroom leader. Another person that I owe a lot of thanks to was the late Amy Raymond, who died a few years ago. Amy had been my last news editor, my last immediate boss. And she and I got along very well. Another person I want to thank is Kimberly Burke, who in 2016 had been the Metro editor. She knew I was retiring, and she said, "Would you be interested in doing some freelance photography and writing for us?" Oh, great, all that work and no benefits. And she told me how much she'd pay per story, and I thought, yeah, I can do that. And finally, I want to thank my wife. If it hadn't been for my wife, her love and her support, I don't think I would have gotten through those 34 years at the Oklahoman.